What's good, everybody? This is your Cosmic Homegirl. I'm doing a celebrity astrology reading, which I haven't done in a long time, but this was highly requested. So I thought I would just take a look, seeing what's going on with our girl, Miss Ariana Grande. She has been in the headlines the last week, as of the day I'm recording this, in regards to her love life. So, why is that? And why is she making the move she's making? It was announced that she divorced from her husband. Well, actually, they are separated. They're headed for divorce. And then a couple days later, it's like, boop, oh, now it's announced she's dating someone else. Total Libra antics. Let me just say, total Libra antics. I have a lot of Libra in my chart, so I'm not a Libra hater or anything, but that's just what it is. But we're going to take a look and see, why is all this going on for her, and why does she make the moves that she make when it comes to love, and what's going on with the two gentlemen that she has involvements with. So I have this picture up here on my screen from Elle magazine or website or whatever. And this is one photo that Ari has not taken off of her Instagram just yet, of her and her soon to be ex-husband Dalton. This picture, it's going to help lead into me looking at their charts, because when you look at this picture, when I look at this picture, I see a power couple. I see the way that they're dressed. You know, she's wearing black, she's wearing really high stilettos, she's got a ponytail, she has a very classic, like a Capricorn woman look, and he's suited and booted, looking fine. So that's a classic Capricorn man look. So they look like a Capricorn power couple to me. I'm just going to leave that right there. And then let's go ahead and start taking a look at some charts, shall we? So I have Ariana's chart pulled up here. Now, this is her chart based on her birth time. You guys know that I do investigate. Sometimes I'll give a birth time that is speculative based on some of their recent events that have happened in their life, a combination with that and the way that they look, the way they talk, they act, they dress, and just an energy that they give off, timing of life events. I will do like a speculative ascendant, rising sign, or whatever. But, however, Ariana's birth time was available online. This is a birth announcement that her father posted on Twitter. And as you can see, it's got her birth date, but it's got 9:10 p.m. as a birth time. So I will look into if there's something on Astro Theme or Astro Dienst with a celebrity's chart. I will see, hey, well, what's the source of the said birth time that they have online. So this is what it comes from her father's Twitter. Okay. So we have Ariana's chart here. I have the Placidus chart, and I also have the whole sign chart. Both, if you know me and you know how I operate here in these astrological screets, you know that I use both, and both are fully the truth. Okay. So let's take a look at her Placidus chart, which is based on your exact birth time. And Ariana Grande is a Capricorn rising. She has her sun or her moon and Jupiter together in the ninth house. This is why she has dimples and why she comes off as being slightly Sagittarian in her ways, because she has the moon in a conjunction with the ruler of Sagittarius, which is Jupiter, in the ninth house, which corresponds with Sag. So that's why she's got the cute dimples. Sag energy people are known for having all the dimples. Okay. But why does Miss Ari, why does she tend to be the thank you next gal in real life? Why does she move from one relationship to another? People are just really saying, oh, why can't this girl just be alone for a while? What's wrong with her? Why does she have to keep hopping from one person to the next? And someone even said, she's just like J-Lo. Dun, dun, dun. Well, I have pinned J-Lo as a Libra rising. And even way, way back in the day, I used to tell some of my girlfriends in school that I found out later on when I really dove into astrology. I used to call them that they have the J-Lo syndrome, because they always have to have a guy. They always have to have a guy's attention. They will have one dude lined up as a quote unquote friend, before they break up with their boyfriend. And then once they break up with their boyfriend, then here they are with this dude all like right away. And people will be like, well, where the hell did he come from? Well, he's already been on the back burner. Okay. That's Libra activities. And Ari has an abundance of Libra energy. So she is a very relationship oriented person. Libra is the sign of marriage and relationships. Libra and the seventh house and Venus, they all correspond with one another. So let's see what factor she has in her chart that makes her a lover of love and have to always have a someone. Well, once again, she's a moon in Libra. The moon rules your emotions, your emotional self. What gives you gratification emotionally as a whole being? And relationships give her gratification. She has Jupiter in Libra, and they say in some forms of astrology that Jupiter can represent for a hetero woman the type of man that they like, type of, masculine energy. But Jupiter is also what makes you happy. It's your joy and abundance, and hers is in Libra, which is relationships. I also have Jupiter in Libra, just like Ari. And so there's some things that I can relate to. I swear she's like my spirit animal with most of her songs, not all of them, but a lot of them, with how she sings about love, the lyrics about love, being in love, and the how it gets you giddy and all of that. She is totally my spirit animal, and that's probably because our Jupiters are conjoined, and her moon is on some of my Libra stuff. And also, Ariana Grande is a seventh house sun. So once again, seventh house in Libra, they correspond with one another. They represent the same things. She's a sun in the seventh house. And I'm like, oh, shit, so am I. So yeah, I can really relate to loving, being a lover, and being in love. And having a somebody to gush over and to talk about with your girlfriends or guy friends or whoever, and just having companionship is very important to people who have Libra placements. So she has the sun in the seventh house, okay, and then she has Venus in the fifth house, and this is in her whole sign chart. So whole sign astrology, she's a seventh house sun and she's a fifth house Venus. The fifth house is a house of romance, like the exciting romance, dating, the butterflies in the tummy, meeting someone for the first time, the fireworks, the excitement of being in love, your heart racing, all of that stuff is the fifth house. And her Venus, which is a big part of her as a feminine being, for one thing, and also it rules the planet of love and relationships. She has that in the fifth house of romance. So she is a lover of love, period, point blank. So yeah, she really loves being in love. But one thing that could be her downfall is that very thing, because she has her Chiron in the sign of Leo. And Chiron is like a bruise or a soft spot that never quite goes away in your life. What can bring you the most pain, and you're constantly finding yourself having to heal from it. So, and regenerate. So she has it in Leo, which could be self-confidence, self-esteem, but also romance and love. It could be one of your biggest areas, sources of pain in your life. So that means if you can be starved of it a lot or feel that way, and it's just agonizing. So in her Placidus chart, her Chiron is in the seventh house of relationships. So the way that she heals from relationships being her biggest source of pain and suffering is through her music, through singing about love, writing about love. Everything that makes her her, most of what makes her her, is love and romance. So Chiron in the seventh house, ooh, I have this placement. Yes, it is agonizing when you are lacking in love in your life, especially romantic love. Romantic love, because hers is in Leo, and also she has fifth house energy. They equate to the same things. So also she has her south node where her soul has been already and comes into this lifetime. The south node is with already, having gifts and talents and also an affinity for, and some things you can have an aversion towards. She has the south node in the fifth house in her Placidus chart, which means she's already been in previous lifetimes the ultimate lover. She may have in previous lifetimes been someone with big Leo energy. And this is also what gives her the gifts and talents of performance, and already coming here wanting to be a performer from a young age because she has the south node in the fifth house of performing and being on stage. So this is also why her soul is so much a lover, is because of this placement. So these are why she always has to have a lover. She always has to have a relationship, actually. And she has Mercury in the seventh house. In both charts, it lands in the seventh. So Mercury is what you're thinking about, like what you're thinking, your where your mind goes a lot. Where your Mercury placement is, it can show that. So she has Mercury and Cancer in the seventh house. Cancer energy is the ultimate wifey energy. And if you're a Cancer anything and you say, I'm a Cancer and I don't want to get married and I don't la 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 la, nobody cares, girl. Okay, remember astrology is archetypes. You isolate the signs as archetypes. And you are made of a multitude. We are all made of a multitude of energies. And astrology, this is why we look at a whole chart to break it all down, including the aspects between the planets. They can all alter or have an effect on who you are and how you act and react to things and how you live your life and what your personality is like. It's not just one element, which is the sun, which everybody knows. And then that the sun is not in whole you in total. Okay. Look at all this. Okay. All right. I'm just saying, because I have people come at me all the time when I post things publicly about astrology and I break things down according to the signs. This sign is like this. This sign is like, no, I am that sign and that's not me. Well, this is why. So the energy of Cancer is wife energy. Wife, mother, the traditional wife and mother. Girly girl, feminine, ultimate femme. It's ruled by the moon. So she embodies Cancer energy because of her sun placement in the sign of Cancer. Her Mercury, the way she talks, is a sign of Cancer. That's why she has a high-pitched voice, a little baby voice, soft, girly, feminine voice, and all of that. But also her Venus in her whole sign or Placidus chart, lands in the fourth house. So the way she loves is very Cancerian. That's why she, even though she's only been married one time, she has songs where she talks about, being wifey, giving wifey vibes and stuff like that. Okay. So this is just breaking down a little bit of why Ari is so relationship oriented. Why does she always have to go from one guy to the next and the thank you next is like real life for her. She wasn't joking on that song or just playing a role. She is a lover. So that's why. Now, why is all of this coming about as far as divorce and a new boo and all that stuff? Okay. Well, let's take a look. We'll look at some astrological transits that are popping. So currently we have her, they said that she and her husband Dalton, and I'm sorry, but I think Dalton is fine. Okay, I just have to say it. He is fine. I mean, look, he's tall. I don't really discriminate with height, but ooh, a tall daddy with a suit. He's definitely Capricorn something or another is what I see. And he has a really nice smile, nice teeth. He strikes me as being maybe an earth rising, possibly an earth rising. He's definitely got Capricorn energy, but maybe a Virgo rising. He favors a couple of, men that I am super duper crazy about, in love with, who are Virgo risings. And yeah, like he looks like them. That look that I'm just like, hubba, hubba. So I'm like, he might be a Virgo rising. I tried a few different ascendants with him, but we never hear the guy speak. We never really see much of him or his personality, so I can't really get a good read off of him to estimate an ascendant. However, I'm pretty positive on the Capricorn moon. I believe maybe he could possibly be Sagittarius rising, maybe a Capricorn rising later degree where he has moon in the 12th house instead of the first. Because if someone has moon in the first, they may be a little bit more like round in the face, a little bit more chubbier body type or something like that. But he's tall and lanky is what it looks like. So that could be Aquarius, that could be Capricorn with Uranus in the first. There's just multiple options and possibilities for the guy. But once again, I've never heard his voice. I've never seen him really on video too much being himself to really get a good read from him. I've only seen photos. So he's definitely Capricorn moon. So he was definitely born. So this is 12 p.m. would put it at 3 degrees. So that means we need to go back 6 hours for it to be 0 degrees of Cap. So he was definitely born after 6 a.m. Anywhere between 6 a.m. to midnight or 11:59 on August 7th. So that leaves a lot of possibilities. He could be anywhere from a Leo rising to a Taurus rising. He does not look Taurus rising at all. He has he has some features, like his ears look like they could be Mercury on the ascendant, or he could be a third houser, possibly. Third houser would not work because who has Leo in the third house? That would be Gemini. He's not a Gemini rising, but I don't know. There's so many possibilities, so I don't really know Dalton's ascendant, but we'll just take a look at what's going on currently and step back a little bit based on just the planets in his chart. All right. Now, what's going on is they say that Ariana and Dalton separated in January of 2023. Now, January 2023, that is the season to where we usually have a full moon on the Cancer and Capricorn axis and a new moon in Capricorn. So that's also what tells me he's Capricorn something or another. Because full moons and new moons, they can bring changes in relationship statuses. So let's see. This is December 2022. So during that time, we had a new moon in Capricorn, December 23rd. And then if we move to January 2023, we had a full moon in Cancer, January 6th, 16 degrees of Cancer. So that happened in Ariana's 7th house by sign. 1st and 7th house, the full moon in Cancer in January. And that happened in the sign of Dalton's moon. It could be conjoined his moon if it's like, he was born later in the day or something. It could be possibly conjoined, but we don't know that for sure. But it's in the sign of his moon, which could rule the home life. The wife for a married man could be his moon. So they're both Cancer and Capricorn. Or she's Cancer and Capricorn, my bad. But he's Capricorn most definitely. So that full moon in January 2023 showed their separation. And I noticed there was a pattern that whenever there were big changes within this couple's relationship, whether that is when they first started dating and got together, and when they went public, and when they got engaged in December of, I forgot what year they got engaged, but they got engaged in a December. Okay. This Elle article, it has a whole timeline of their relationship. But when they got engaged, it was like Christmas time one year, and that is during Capricorn season. So that means planets are hovering around his moon, which is his emotions and all of that, and in her first house. When they got together and started dating, It's rumored to be like 2019-ish, somewhere around there. So, what did we have going on then in Cancer and Capricorn? Well, first of all, we had Saturn in Capricorn until the end of 2020. Saturn can bring someone a lot of maturity. So it can, when Saturn transits your sign, yeah, I've seen a lot of people get married when Saturn transits their sign. So when we had Saturn in Capricorn, that was from the end of 2017 all the way to 2020. And so during that time, Saturn was transiting the sign of Aries ascendant. So that is her sign. And it was opposing her natal sun as well. So that challenged her to mature and take some big mature steps in life, which can be marriage. It can join Dalton's moon, which can anchor someone down. Saturn acts as an anchor. Look at the symbol for it. It looks like a little anchor, right? So when it was on his moon, that was anchoring him down when it comes to his serious personal life, home life. Like I said, the moon could be wife. So that was when Saturn was in Capricorn. And at the same time we had Saturn in Capricorn during those years, we also had eclipses on the axis of Cancer and Capricorn. So they started in 2018. Okay, Cancer, Capricorn. Well, the first one was in Cancer, July of 2018. I think they said that 2018 is when they started seeing each other or something, or they met at that time. They really started seeing each other around this time. During eclipses in the Capricorn Cancer axis. 2019, they were all up in that sign. There was a lunar eclipse in Leo, and he's a Leo sun, also in 2019. And then things started shifting. They were still Cancer and Capricorn in 2020, but they started shifting on the axis of Sagittarius and Gemini. Now, Aries north and south nodes are Gemini and Sagittarius. So eclipse is happening on her nodes, and it being her reverse nodal return once they were in the lower degrees of Gemini and Sag, that can show a fated coming together of two people. This happens around the same age as someone's Saturn return, around that age, like 28, like 26 to 28-ish. Is your reverse nodal return. Very fated events, very fated meetings of people, very fated separations of yourself from people. So that eclipse cycle, it really hit them. And I don't know where it hit in Dalton's chart. I mean, it hit his Jupiter in Sag. That's all we can confirm. I don't know what houses it hit. We don't know what house Jupiter rules in his chart. But it mostly hit Ariana, the eclipse cycles in Gemini and Sagittarius. Then they're all through 2021. And then there was an eclipse, the end of 2021, 27 Taurus. Her natal Venus is 20 Taurus. So there was an eclipse on her Venus, which is, once again, love, relationship, marriage. So those were eclipses that really affected their relationship and made them get together. They got married in 2022, right? I think it was 2022 when they got married. So, yeah, they got married in, I want to say May. I think it was May of 2022. Or 21 or 22. Dang it. I had all this written down, I thought. My bad. But anyhow, so they got married. It was like a recent May, okay, when they got married. So, let's see. Blah, blah, blah. They were first seen together in public February of 2020. So they had an engagement December of 2020. See, that's that eclipse cycle in Capricorn. All right, that was happening. And then let's go back and look. I wanted to see something here. When did they actually get married? So 2021, let's take a look at the eclipses. Yeah, they were happening on her north and south nodes. So this was a super fated event for her especially. And when they got married, there was a new moon on her Venus at 21 degrees of Taurus. And then they were in that eclipse cycle right here. There was on her nodes, but there was an eclipse on her north and south node on this day, May 26th, and they got married May 15th. Okay, anyway, so May 26th, there was an eclipse on her Venus, and she confirmed her wedding and, made it public. So, yeah, eclipses are a trip, right? Now, speaking of eclipses, why did their marriage go downhill? Okay, now first, let's look at their synastry, right? The energy between Dalton and Ari. So we don't have his birth time. I don't know where she falls in the houses in his chart. But he has a Leo stellium. Leo daddies. Yes, Leo daddies. They say that he was very protective over her. He's pretty low key, even though he has celebrity clients and friends and stuff like that. He may have made appearances in some of their videos or on their social medias here and there, but he was kind of a low key guy. They said he was chivalrous and kind of traditional, and he didn't really care about the spotlight and all of that, but he was very protective over her. So he has all these Leo planets. Where do they land in Ariana's chart? Well, Leo is her 8th house naturally as a Capricorn rising. So they land in the sign of her 8th house. But when we look at her Placidus chart, they land all in her 7th house of marriage. That's why she was so willing to marry him. Very easily, when someone has their planets, they all fall in your 7th house, and they're like good planets, the more positive, pleasant ones. Not like they're Pluto and Saturn. Well, their Saturn may anchor you down to marry them, but more than likely, it's like if someone's moon's in your 7th house, right away you feel like you guys should be together and you understand each other, and there's like an emotional need for one another. If it's their sun, Mercury, Venus, all his stuff lands in here. And also, check this out. Ariana Grande has Juno in Leo. So Juno is an asteroid that can rule marriage, ideal marriage partner. Also, it can show times of marital issues, which, take a look at this. Juno is transiting through Cancer and has been since the beginning of the year, sometime in the beginning of 2023. So that means her marriage has been to the forefront, but not for that great of reasons. But still, Juno is an asteroid associated with marriage. She has it in Leo in her natal chart at 15 degrees, and Dalton has Leo stuff at 11. His sun, which is masculine energy, 14 Leo. His Mercury is 25 Leo. So he lands on her Juno, but unfortunately, he also lands on her Chiron. Dun, dun, dun. I don't like to see Chiron conjunctions in relationships. So her Chiron is 21 Leo. His natal sun is about 7 degrees away from it. His Mercury is a few degrees away from it. But still, when you can join someone's Chiron, that one or both parties can feel like the relationship is draining. The other person is draining emotionally, or you constantly have to rescue them or worry about how they feel, worry about hurting them. It's touchy. It's very touchy to plug into someone's Chiron like that. But he does. But also Chiron is associated with healing. So maybe she felt like he was very healing for her, at least at first, to be with him after being in other tumultuous relationships. Especially Mac Miller, who ended up passing away. I'm sure that was very traumatic for her, that time period. And to love someone like that, and then they're gone. I'm sure she really... Oh, man. Somebody with Chiron in the 7th house, trust me, I know this firsthand. A lot of times they end up losing loved ones, lovers, boyfriends, girlfriends, people that they dated or that they are dating currently. They end up losing them. Like they lose them in tragic ways. Like they pass away in tragic ways. So that's a very soft painful spot for her. So maybe she felt like he was more healing than hurting her seventh house energy. I mean, only they would know, but that's how it could play out either way, or maybe both. Maybe both. Now, also, Dalton has a Capricorn moon, and by degree, his moon lands in her 12th house. I'm sure it's like earlier degree Capricorn. But having his moon in the same sign as her ascendant, that means they really got each other in some way. But the thing is, his moon likely squares her moon, which is early degree of Libra. And this is a really big problem when you marry someone or you get into a really serious relationship with them and you guys live together. The moon shows your living habits and behaviors, how you prefer to live, and also it's your emotional gratification, emotional well-being, and what you can be codependent on in order to feel good. She needs constant love, attention, romance, Libra things. And she also, as a Libra moon and a seventh house sun and Mercury, she's very flirtatious. She's giggly, girly, loves being in love. I'm pretty sure she tantalizes men with her soft voice and singing and all of that stuff, singing to them and stuff. I'm sure she does that. But he's a Capricorn. Caps could be very low key with their energy. They're not super outwardly romantic people or anything. So that could have been an issue. Maybe there were times where there were challenges with that, where she wanted a lot of romantic attention and he was just like, whatever, very Capricorn like. And also I was thinking maybe he might be a Capricorn rising. I knew he had to be Capricorn something before I looked up his chart, because I can't find the picture, but there's a picture of both of them together and they're both smiling like they won't show their teeth. A lot of Capricorns smile like that unless they have a heavy Sagittarius stellium behind their Capricorn stuff. Most Capricorns that I know, they don't really like to smile with their teeth showing. And both of them looked alike. People are like, oh, they look alike. I remember when they first started, they came out with, oh my gosh, see, look, he is so cute. I swear. He's singing. There it is. Okay. So they both are smiling. She has total Capricorn features, but she has the dimples, like the ninth house Jupiter dimples. He doesn't, but they smile without showing their teeth. That's total Capricorn stuff right there. So, and people say, oh my God, they look alike. They both could possibly be Capricorn rising because they have she may have had some work done on her nose, but usually Capricorns will have like chiseled, a little bit more chiseled features. So yeah, they do kind of look alike. So I was thinking maybe he might be Capricorn rising. I don't know for sure. Even though she's a Capricorn rising and she has in her whole sign chart her moon in the 10th house, she still has Libra energy, and Libra, it needs attention. She has 5th house energy, needs romantic attention. So she's got Capricorn energy herself, but she's maybe has a little bit more of that lover, feminine energy that needs to be nurtured in a lover way. And who knows, maybe at times the way that they live was just like different. Like, see, he's more traditional being a Capricorn moon. She is moon and Jupiter in the ninth, which can mean I will live all over the place at times. That's her touring a lot and living in different countries at times because of touring, or all over the place. But he's more rooted because he has the moon in Capricorn. She's a little bit more flexible. Her moon is in an air sign and it's conjoined to Jupiter, which is the whole world. And in her Placidus chart, it's in the house that rules the whole world. So that explains the issue with her living in another country to film that movie Wicked for months and months at a time, and being able to do so, even though she's a Cancer. Cancers, they cry because they miss home and they can't be away from home for too long. But Her moon position helps her to be able to tolerate that in order for it to something with business to work out, because it's also 10th house of business. So him being a Capricorn moon, it's like he can understand it, but only so much. So he wants to stay rooted and grounded in home. He wants her home, and she's like all over the place. So their moon square definitely points to that. His moon squares her moon, but also her Jupiter conjoin her moon. So that's like, get your ass back home. You know what I'm saying? And let's be home. And she's like, oh, I'm all over the world. So that definitely shows that issue that they had. Now, him being protective over her, that could be his Leo stellium landing in her whole sign, 8th house, and being protective and low key and everything. And that's why I was thinking maybe he might be Capricorn rising, because his Leo stellium might land in his 8th house, which could make him super low key, not really crave the spotlight like usual Leos. Leos who have stelliums in water houses, either the 4th, the 8th, or the 12th, they're more low-key, more muted down Leo. They're not like loud and proud, I'm popular, hey, I'm all over the place, I'm here, I'm there, announcing every damn thing that they do. They're not really like that. They're low-key. So that could have also been an issue. Now, they say that they got together during the pandemic. I mean, when was that? 2020, 2021? That was when there was Saturn and Capricorn locking them both down, and the eclipses hitting both of them, making them feel this eclipses rule like a karmic fated meeting of someone, and events, and an opening up of the soul, portals to the soul. So I would say this is more so, this could be a very soulful connection between the two, yes, but it, once that cycle closed out, then things started to kind of fizzle and fade, and then there were issues that probably were there from the beginning that started to arise. Another thing that points to this time frame and them separating and divorcing is both of them are going through their Saturn returns. So Ariana's Saturn is 0 degrees of Pisces. Wow. So Saturn hit 0 degrees of Pisces March of 2023. However, by degree, it was still in a conjunction with her Saturn at the later degrees of Aquarius. And at this time, Saturn later degrees of Aquarius is when it started to oppose, and even the middle degrees, it started opposing Dalton's planets in Leo. Saturn opposing his Venus could have been like, maybe their love life felt stale. Maybe Ari became a little more cold or distant, or she's working all the time. That could be Saturn opposing his Venus, so he felt unloved, and maybe he felt neglected because of that. So, and then Saturn opposing the Sun, maybe he started experiencing some pressures with work or business himself. Maybe he was the one that became a little more cold and distant. Or maybe it could have been both of them working a lot and just not really feeling it. And then Saturn opposing his Mercury, that can make someone really crotchety and grumpy and look at mostly the negative things in life and look at everything as a challenge. Maybe Saturn opposing him kind of made his attitude a little more sour, or it could have played out in a different way where she played the role of Saturn, just being away and work is everything and work is life and I'm cold and distant, and made him feel like dried up, you know, with his lover energy. So it could have played out either way with that Saturn opposing him. And then Saturn creeping up on her natal Saturn. Yeah. Her Saturn return. Boom. Divorce. Definitely can equate to a divorce. And it's also his Saturn return. Check it. His Saturn is 23 of Pisces though. So that means it's going to be exact Saturn return, maybe later in 2024 into 2025. That's going to be the time of his like exact Saturn return. But once it hits the sign, Saturn hits the sign of your Saturn return begins. Or if your Saturn is at the early degrees of a sign like Ariana's, and Saturn starts hitting the later degrees of the sign before your Saturn return is creeping up on you. It's beginning. So this is both of their Saturn returns. It happens around 27, 28, 29, 30, depending upon, right? So there's a lot of divorces during that time because you're being challenged. You thought you were grown up enough to be married and live the married life, but then Saturn challenges you. Are you sure you're ready for this? And some people, they're like, "Well, I guess I'm not," and they run from it for whatever reason. So it's their Saturn returns, both of them. Also, check this out. Trip out on this. Look, the North and South nodes, they just barely, as I'm recording this, mid-July, late July 2023, they just dipped into the 29th degrees of Aries and Libra. It's Dalton's reverse nodal return. This also happens to people around their Saturn return, remember? So when it was Aries' reverse nodal return, that's when they got married. Now that it's Dalton's, they're getting divorced. See this? Crazy. This is the karmic meeting of someone and a karmic relationship ending with his reverse nodal return. So those are indicators of what's going on with them in the sky, what could be causing this. Pluto just dipped back into Capricorn. They both have Capricorn placements. He has his Uranus at 27. Pluto's back to 29. Gonna get back down to around his Uranus degree. Uranus could rule maybe a house in his chart that deals with relationships or something, or marriage or romance. And then she has Uranus and Neptune at 20 Capricorn. So Pluto's dipping back, kind of conjoining them, kind of, sort of. But it's dipping back into the sign of her ascendant. So that can also be an indicator of like transforming your life once again, as your life as you've known it for a long time, or maybe even not that long, is transforming once again, is being destroyed and rebuilt. That's Pluto. So those are indicators of why they're having a divorce. Now, they started having issues, they say, like the end of 2022. She started traveling and filming and everything the end of 2022 ish, and they say that she started getting together with her co-star, that Ethan guy, the SpongeBob dude, right? Don't have his birth time either. I don't know his ascendant. I haven't felt his energy or investigated him deeply enough to know what his prospective ascendant would be. But he has a Gemini stellium. We're going to get into him in a second. But the end of 2022 is when this Ethan guy, he and his wife, I think they started having problems, or they separated or something like that, right? And people's rumor that, he and Ariana started getting close. Well, what was going on in the sky at that time? Well, for Ariana, Uranus has been hovering around her Venus for a minute. Her Venus is 20 of Taurus. So as soon as it was like 12 degrees and above of Taurus, Uranus is hovering over her Venus. We had also in 2022, Saturn was squaring her Venus. So yeah, that could have been a rough patch for her and her husband, ex-husband, soon to be. But yeah, so all last year, 2022, Uranus was creeping up on her Venus. Now, when someone has Uranus on their transiting their natal Venus or one of their love planets, they can become distant from a current relationship, a long-standing relationship or a marriage, something that's solid to do with relationships. They can break free. Because I always say with Uranus, I'm having a Uranian outbreak. It rules outbreaks. Like, it rules going viral, right? Think of that. That's such a term nowadays because a lot of young adults are Uranus and Aquarius generation. And that's something that's super important to you guys, right? Uranus and Aquarius rule something going viral. You post something, you just plant something online, and then boom, there's an explosion of likes and shares and this and that. So it's an outbreak of something. It can I see it's like you have this, you have a Uranian itch, and I know that sounds kind of nasty, but no, like you feel like you're itching and twitching in some area of your life when Uranus crosses you. So with her, it was with love. She started to feel itchy being in a marriage for some reason. Starting in 2022, she started to feel an itch. Uranus could be a separating energy when it crosses over one of your planets. So it got up to around 20 degrees. No, it went up to 18 last year in 2022, but that's still close to 20. And then it went retrograde. But still, Uranus hovering around her Venus. Where's he at now? Currently in July, of 2023, he's at 22 degrees. And so that means earlier in 2023, Uranus was at around 20 degrees. Look at this. Check it out. Direct, got up to 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 in May. They tried to reconcile, is the rumor, her and Dalton around May of 2023. But she still felt that Uranian outbreak, like I need to break free from this marriage for one reason or another. There was also a new moon on her Venus. Well, there was an eclipse, excuse me, at 14 of Taurus and Scorpio on the 5th of, what is this? May 2023, an eclipse on her Venus. And then there was a new moon not far from her Venus as well following up. So that new moon could be clearing out of something. And a full moon could be like there's a decision that needs to be made. So they were both on her Venus. So that's why there was the attempt to reconcile the full moon, and then, oh, no, sir, no thanks, the new moon, right? So that was 2023. Uranus was involved. That's why she's like, I need new. The Uranus is about the new. It's about brand new. Forget the old, forget the past. Let's evolve into a new era. It's about all of that. So that's also why she's got a new boo. She needed something new. So Uranus is also squaring Dalton's Leo stellium, though. So he has been feeling some challenging Uranian outbreaks too. But I think it's more intense for Ariana because it's a conjunction to her Venus. So this is why she has, been feeling like, I don't know. I can't really say as far as like, did she and the Ethan dude get together while he was still together with his wife and not separated yet? Did she get together with him while she was still married and before she was separated? It's really hard to say. But all I know is starting with 2022, she started getting Uranian outbreaks, and so did Mr. Dalton. Uranus was challenging them both, and then their Saturn returns came up, and you know what I'm saying? And then the eclipses continued. So yeah, it was just there were too many things going on in the sky that challenged their marriage. And they didn't pass the test. Now, what's up with her and SpongeBob? What does she see in him? I know that's what a lot of people are asking, and no disrespect or anything to Mr. SpongeBob, man, but I don't know. To me, I know everything isn't about looks, and it's all, I'm not super superficial like that, but I'm like, hunty, Mr. Dalton was fine, at least to me. I mean, he looks earthy. He doesn't look super Leo. He looks earthy to me. To me, he's very cute. He's fine. And I don't know about SpongeBob, girl, but what does she see in SpongeBob? Well, if he were born, let's say 4 hours, so like 8 a.m. or later on his birthday, June 2nd, 92, he's a Cancer moon. Because he and Ariana are super tight, they got super close, I would bank more on him being a Cancer moon because she's an early degree Cancer sun. And when you have a sun and moon conjunction, it's really easy to be attracted to one another, especially if there's other factors that make you attracted to each other. having a sun and moon conjunction, it's very beautiful. I love it. I love seeing it. I love experiencing it. It's very beautiful. So, but other than that, what is their synastry? Like, what is she? Why, girl? So, Mr. SpongeBob has, this is according to the true node calculations, by the way. He has a south node at 0 Cancer, the north node at 0 Capricorn. Well, Ariana's sun is at 5 Cancer, so that's a sun south node conjunction. She has her south node at 11 of Gemini. His sun is 12 Gemini. So they have a double south sun and south node conjunction. Dun dun dun. Those of you who follow me on YouTube or anywhere else, you already know your girl is becoming seemingly an expert on these nodes and the effects of them and the familiarity that they bring and what they can mean on a soul level, that you've known each other before. They've known each other before in previous lifetimes. And I know people will be like, well, don't be glamorizing that, and they're both married. Okay, listen. Once again, like I've told you guys in the other celebrity videos, your soul doesn't give a shit about your current lifetime's contracts or agreements. It doesn't. This is reality. I don't condone people playing each other, playing games, lying, and all that. I don't condone that or promote it. But I will tell you that a lot of times when people have situations like this and they have those nodal conjunctions, there's a force that's way beyond this physical realm that acts like very as magnetic with these people, and they really can't resist one another. It's so hard to resist one another, and their meetings with each other are very fated, and they feel that way as well. They feel it. And a lot of times when this happens, one or both parties are in a relationship already or a marriage already. And maybe it's one that's already been on the rocks for a while, or it's already expired a long time ago and they should have left. And then the other person that they meet that conjoins one or the other's south node and or north node serves as a catalyst for change. Wake up. You deserve better in love. This is stale. This is way past its expiration date. You should have dipped out a long time ago. Maybe this guy being a Cancer moon, maybe he and his wife had the baby. Maybe they were already on the rocks, and Cancers love to fix relationships with babies, or at least try to. I don't know the wife's birthday or anything, but who knows? Maybe she might have Cancer in her chart. But Cancers love to try to fix marriages and relationships that are on the rocks, that are broken, that are just donezo, or should be. They love to fix it with babies. So that could be what happened. Or maybe it wasn't. But when this guy and Ari, they got together around each other, they felt the warmth of the sun on each other's south nodes, their familiarity as a soul, as souls. They couldn't resist each other. So your soul doesn't give a fuck what the other person looks like, what their marital status is, their relationship status, anything that we really care about and label each other and ourselves with on planet Earth as physical beings, your soul usually doesn't care about. So when two souls meet and there's just that magnetic thing, like, I've known you before, I know you, there's an instant like bond, and it turns into love, and this person is the feelings are so out of this world. And those who are willing to tap into out of this worldness, I know that's not a word, and Mars is in Virgo, so please just realize that I'm sarcastic and silly and just shut the fuck up. But anyway, the feelings are just so indescribable, and the attraction is undeniable. So I'm sure that's what happened between these two. So I know on the surface, we're like, girl, you're leaving tall, handsome, charming, successful Dalton for little SpongeBob man, little Gemini man. For real? Why? Well, their souls have a connection that the rest of us may not understand. and they just decided to go with it. Sometimes people will resist, and then they'll still think about that other person night and day, and they'll still want to be in contact with them somehow, but they won't fully indulge within that soul connection or fully engage. They'll just kind of be like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and still try to be in their other life, in their other situation. But sometimes people will just go for it, and they just feel all of that and they don't care. So I'm sure that's what's going on with Ariana and Ethan, aka SpongeBob, aka I don't know the character's name he's playing in the new movie that they're in together, but I'm sure that's what's going on. It's the sun and the moon conjunction, the nodal conjunction. Other than that, let's see, his stellium is in Gemini 9, 12, 14. Where does that land in her chart? Ew. Well, whole sign, that's all sixth house. Well, that can signify meeting a partner at work. But Gemini is her Placidus fifth house, which is romance. And that's what she craves as a natural fifth houser by her south node and her Venus whole sign. So he lights her up romantically. They probably have so much fun. He's probably very bubbly and goofy and fun, and she loves that. Oh, I forgot. Goofy's a bad word now. Lord have mercy. Silly and charming and just a lot of fun and a jokester, I'm sure, being Gemini stellium. And she probably digs all of that energy. It plays with her Gemini south node to bring out her default settings that are very Gemini. So it activates that part of her. And her romantic zone, Mr. SpongeBob, lights up her heart and her soul. Okay? Ari has the sun in the sixth house. I have this placement, so I know it very well. The sun can represent men, represent husband, just important male figures. But if you're hetero woman and you're attracted to men, the sun placement can show you where you're more likely to meet men. And that is in the sixth house of work. So have you noticed that she's met men through work, whether their work or her work, or they work together? Like she's collaborated with ex-boyfriends on tracks before, things like that. Or she's met them through, one or both of their work. She met her ex-husband Dalton through him working as a real estate agent and trying to find her a home. So she'll meet men through work. It's just, and I know some people look down upon that. I personally, even though I'm a sixth house sun, it's not what I prefer. But trust and believe with this placement, it's unavoidable. It's going to happen at some point that you're going to meet one of your spouses or your boyfriends or whoever at work or at one of their job. So let's see. I had a boyfriend. I met him at his work, a long-term boyfriend. And then I had another one. I didn't meet him through work. And then I had another one I met at work. Yeah, my ex-husband, I met him at work. And then I had a couple of soul connections, beautiful men I met at work. So yes, it's just inevitable. It's going to happen. So she met Mr. Ethan while working on a movie. So yeah, there we go. And Lilith has been in Leo. And now Venus is retrograde in Leo. So what is that going to do to Mr. Dalton? Venus retrograde hovering around his Mercury. I'm sure he's hurting in some way, even if it's privately at home. Because look, he has Mars in Libra. They say he's already been out there dating. Of course, someone with a Leo-Libra combination. Yeah, I'm sure they already thank you nexted each other. Him and Ariana a long time ago. And he's out there. He's doing his thing. I mean, he's fine and he's wealthy, and he's tall and handsome. I mean, why not? But they haven't fully divorced yet. But Libras, they need, they're going to get out there and flirt and stuff at least. And Ari, she's a flirt. She's a Libra. She's a seventh houser. Thank you next all motherfucking day for both of them. But Lilith in Leo has been lighting him up. So I'm sure that's also why he's still able to do his thing. I'm sure he's still hurting a little, but he's doing his thing. And then Venus retrograde on his Mercury, though, I'm sure he's reminiscing about his wife, his soon to be ex wife, their marriage. He's probably really thinking about things a lot. And then her Chiron is on his natal sun. So I'm sure she's more the one that has hurt him in this. And if he is out there dating, it's probably to just make sure he doesn't feel anything. Capricorn moons really especially don't like to feel shit. So I'm sure that this is world rocking for him, but he's trying to cope, you know what I mean? I'm sure he'll be fine, she'll be fine, whatever. But yeah, this is what I see for this couple. Divorces are usually a sad time, a difficult time at least. Some people celebrate, they have parties and shit. I mean, it depends on the situation, but yo, if somebody's got a connection with hey, listen, Ari, I love you, but yes, your ex-husband is fine. If you've already let him go, girl, like, hello, sir. Anyway, I hope this was helpful and informative to you guys to show what we astrologers look at in synastry and relationships. And oh yeah, how could we forget? Jupiter is in Taurus. Jupiter is headed for her Venus, just like Uranus is. The girl definitely needs to be in love. She needs her Venus, nurtured and stimulated. So I'm sure Mr. SpongeBob is gonna do her well with that, maybe for a little while. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's what we look at with relationship. This is scratching the surface of what I do. I dig way deeper than this, of course, when I do personal readings, which I am available for. I do have some availability. To check my availability, check to see if I have a link to my website, indigomoon.astrology.com, in the comments or in the description box. Also follow me on Instagram under Cosmic Homegirl. TikTok, I have some stuff on there, Cosmic Homegirl. The Threads app, as I'm recording this, it's a thing. We'll see what happens in the future, but I'm on the Threads app too. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm on that teaching tip right now with Jupiter in my sign of Taurus on my Mercury. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon. Peace.